A while back, I spoke in an audio about parents who are severely attached to their children. I brought up a couple of scenarios in regards to the parent who didn't want to let their child go off for a better job, didn't want to let their child go off to a college because their fears of being alone. More than likely, these parents don't have anything going for themselves. They so-called live for their children, so to speak. So the only life that they have, and they figure in their minds, is going to be through their children. But what happens when their children decide that they do want to leave and decide that they want to go ahead on their own and do what nature calls them to do, and that is to go ahead somewhere and establish a life and procreate and build their own families? What happens to these people? Well, as I stated before, more than likely, if there's an overbearing parent, they don't have a whole lot else going on. I mean, I'm talking about people who are constantly overbearing. Excuse me, frog in my throat. People who are constantly overbearing. I would talk about another situation. This is in regards to marriage, and I know I'm talking to someone right now, so you might want to pin this one, share this one, download this one, whatever you need to do, because I'm sure that somebody has that one person in the family that does this. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, there are females that do it, but there are some males that do it as well. Your child has done everything to the letter, has gotten an education, gotten a job, gotten. You're proud, you're satisfied. At some point, they're going to want to marry somebody, or they're going to want to live in a long-term relationship with somebody. At some point, that's going to happen because they've achieved everything else and they want to share their bounty with someone on a level of intimacy. This is nature, okay? It's nature. I always refer to the animals because the animals have got this right. I mean, I hate to say this, but we as humans are notorious for overcomplicating things. We take the simplest things and make it complicated. Things that the animals understand. Even though, let's say the animal decides to, it's part of a pack. Let's say the animal does grow up and still stays in the area. They still have their own family and they go ahead and raise it according to their, according to what's required. But they have their own, that's the point. But I'm going to tell you right now, you overbearing parents that have these grown-ass children that want to get married, the person that they're marrying, they're not mentally unstable. They're not, they're not on the run from the law. They're not severely physically incapacitated to the point where they're suffering from mental problems. These are regular people, just like your child, that have done everything and they want somebody to share it with. They're reasonable people. They bent over backwards to be nice to you and you refuse to be nice to them. Don't you realize what you're doing is you're hurting your child indirectly? By expressing your hatred to this person who doesn't deserve it, you are hurting your child. You're not helping them. And what you're doing is you're deflecting. You are deviating from the real feelings that you have. The real feelings that you have is that you don't want to be alone. It's not that child's responsibility to be there because you're lonely. That's your responsibility. It's yours. But I love them. That's the most piss poor excuse I ever heard, because if you really did love them, you wouldn't cause all these troubles. You wouldn't cause all these problems. If this person isn't someone that you know that's going to harm your child and all they want to do is love them, why can't you let them go ahead and be happy in marriage? You should be on board with everything. You should be the first one to try to help out with everything, the first one to show love and support. You should be the first because you're the parent. What is wrong with you? You don't have enough going on in your own life where you are that attached to your child. You need to listen to my audio about the Electra complex and the Oedipus complex, because this may apply to you. It's called Oedipus and Electra. You're going to have to check that out. If you're one of those overbearing parents, you might want to check that out. Because this person is at a point, a milestone in their life, which is a normal one, where they want to share their life with someone else, and you just being difficult all the way around. There is no excuse for that. Like I said, if it's an extreme situation where this person could pose some harm to your child, on the run from the law, mentally unstable, whatever the case may be, that can cause your child their life, you better show some support. And if it's something where your personalities clash because you don't like that person's personality for whatever reason, if it's just a personality issue, the two of you need to come to some kind of agreement, because, see, y'all have what's called a common denominator, and that is that son or daughter that you both love. See, what you're doing is you're limiting your love. You claim you love this person so much, but you won't even take the time to put yourselves aside, because both of you are not perfect. And you can sit here all day long and talk about he or she this and he or she that. I'm talking to the parent and the intended bride or groom. Stop acting so childish. What kind of life do you think this person's going to have if they proceed to marry you? They might just lose their patience after a while and say, screw it, the marriage is off. And then you as a parent, you think you're going to be happy about that? No, they'll turn around and cut your ass off too. Because I've heard this in situations, because there are a couple of situations in my life where there were people that I know that were overbearing parents, and they wouldn't try to get along with that person's intended, and the intended wouldn't try to get along with the parent. And guess what? They turned around and called off the wedding, broke up with the intended, and then turned around, took the first job out of town, and left the parent. So neither one of them have them in their lives. Now, do you want that? And don't think in your mind you know a person so well that they won't. Let me tell you something. When a person feels like they've reached their wits' end, they'll do some extreme shit. I'm just telling the truth. When you have gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired, you do some bold shit. And when you get to that point in your mind where you will start doing these things, you ain't gonna give a damn about what anybody think. Mama, daddy, sister, brother, auntie, cousin. You're not gonna think about what your wife, husband, anybody else think. Because when you get to that point where you are officially sick and tired, you are laser focused on getting the hell out of that situation, and you don't care what extreme you need to use to do it. You be like, I'll cross that bridge when I deal with it, but I got to cross the bridge first. Y'all keep playing. But you overbearing parents, overprotective and this, that, and the other, the only thing that y'all have in common is the fact that you don't have a life for yourself. And you were brainwashed to believe that when you were raising your children, that you had to make them your whole world. Excuse me, that was my dryer. Let me say that again. You were brainwashed to believe that because you had these children, you had to make them your whole world. You couldn't do a single thing for a single moment for yourself. You were brainwashed to believe that only good parents do that. And if any other parents do anything for 5 minutes for themselves the whole 18 to 20 years that you're raising the children, they're instantly bad parents. God forbid if they try to do anything to improve their negative situation. They're horrible people. Horrible people. Not the fact that they're trying to improve themselves so they can be an example to their children and be better parents. No, they're being selfish. This is the type of fucked up program that's out there, people. I'm just telling you. So you believe in your mind that, okay, you're not going to take 5 minutes to take yourself out. You're not going to take 5 minutes for a spa day. You're not going to take 5 minutes to just go hang out with the fellas, go to a game or something. You can't do that in 18 to 20 years because everything's all about your child. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. And some of you parents who are guilty of it, if you want to get upset and jump in the comments and say, how could you say that? Because it's the truth. You were human before they came along. There's nothing wrong with enjoying being with your children, but there's going to be a point in time where they're going to want to be on their own. They can't carry you everywhere with them. And see, this is what happens. Parents like that, those are the ones who cause a whole lot of trouble when their child finally declares their independence. Their final declaration of independence is when you decide you want to get married and build a household of your own. That's your final declaration of independence right there. Parents ain't had a problem with you driving a car, going to college, getting a job, getting your own home. They didn't have a problem with those things because they knew they were still a priority in your life. They knew that they were on that hierarchy. They had a sense of power. And see, the thing is, you as a child, you were alone doing it. See, there's a pecking order thing going on here. That sense of importance. But see, the minute you declare you want to spend the rest of your life with someone else and build your own home, see, that's telling some of them in their minds that's an act of rebellion for them. You see how this thing is all twisted up, people? I mean, I'm sure the birds in the nest, when it's time for them to fly away, they grow up and they fly away. And the mama birds see that they're growing up and fly away. You think she's going to sit there and have a lecture with them about how they shouldn't fly out the nest? That nest's getting crowded. Do you think the little wolf pups, when it's time for them to grow up and build their own pack, you think the daddy wolf is going to sit there and say, you know what, you can't do it right now because of so and so and so. I'm not ready. No. And these are simple animals. This is the thing I don't understand with humans. Parents, you need to grow up. Hate to say it like that, but that's the truth. You need to grow up. Apparently, you were not in biology class that day when they discussed, animals and the growth patterns. You didn't take those classes. You weren't in those labs. And you darn sure didn't take general psychology, because general psychology talks about the development of the mind throughout the whole course. So apparently you didn't take those courses. You didn't take biology and you didn't take psychology, because you wouldn't be behaving this way if you made good grades in those classes, because they both talk about growth of the human, physically and mentally. This is not something that you could talk your way out of. This is not something that you can convince your way out of. And if you took those classes and were paying attention, you would know that this is simple human nature and shit you can do about it. You wouldn't behave this way. And overbearing parents, boy, I see it all the time, especially in my age group, because a lot of them have grown kids. And the most ridiculous things that come out of y'all's mouths sometimes. One lady in particular, her son finally, she probably roadblocked him. I know he was engaged a couple of times, but had to give up because mama was too much of a pain. And he finally found somebody. Career female, educated just like he is. They have everything in common. They're finishing up everybody's sentences and they're very cute together. Nothing wrong with the child. She wants the same thing he wants. Her mama got issues. This is the latest thing that she had. Oh, well, he's an engineer, but she runs a beauty salon. I don't know if I want him to be involved with somebody like that. What? Y'all hear how ridiculous that is? She's a business owner. So she's a business owner who's not good enough for your son who's an engineer. I'm not even going to think about that, because y'all know that just sounds ridiculous. This woman is picking at this woman's career choice. She just picking. She don't fix so-and-so like I fix so-and-so. She's always dyeing her hair this color and dyeing her that color. Well, if she runs a salon, she's going to change her hairstyle a lot. I mean, these are just things that are just stupid. And I say females because it happens a lot with females, but I've known some males too that'll sit there and nitpick. Well, he don't know how to do this and he don't know how to do that, and I don't know what my daughter. Like I said, listen to the audio about the Oedipus and Electra complex, because even though it does address the children, it addresses the parent too. Y'all need to check that shit. So you want this person 30, 40, 50 years old, never to get married, and just to hang around you until you get old and infirm? You ain't got nobody. And whoever you've got, you don't know if they're going to be around. You're not trying to get anybody because that son or that daughter is your partner for life in your mind. You need to go see some damn body. You need to go to a therapist. But every single time, this person's getting older and older and older, and every person that they bring home are pretty decent people. And you know what happens is after they dump that person, they see them 5, 6 years later, they see them with a husband and a family, or a wife and a family, and I know they feel a certain type of way. They're thinking to themselves, that could have been my wife and my family, but if it wasn't for my daddy, if it wasn't for my mama all up in my business, see, that could have been me. And I'm going to tell you something, when they get older, especially in their 30s and 40s, and they see all their other friends getting stuff like that, and they don't have it, they're going to become bitter. But you want them around you all the time, they're going to blame you. And rightly so. Rightly so. And it's just ridiculous. Y'all need to grow out of that. It's life, people. And it's not going to stop because you have an attitude and because you have issues. You better start going to some meetups and some meetings and meet some people and get a life. And stop meddling in your kid's life. You done your job. You done a good job. But my God, if somebody's over 30 years old and every time that they get involved in a relationship, you got to chime in, something wrong with your ass, especially if they've been out there on their own for a while. Now, if they've been still in the house with you and they're 34 years old, I already talked about that in the previous audio. There's some mental issues going on there because if that person hasn't been independent or tried to be independent, that needs to be addressed. But I'm talking about people who've been through college and took care of themselves, self-sufficient, got a decent job and everything else. Over 30 years old, been dating for a while, have been in the dating world for a while and have been in long-term relationships, but they always end badly because of your ass. How you going to say you love that person? That's the part I don't understand. How are you going to say you love that person? And I know I'm going on and on and on, but you know what? It is ridiculous. You parents need to grow up. Stop it. I'm doing this on behalf of any young people that have that overbearing parent that don't know how to keep their mouth shut, don't know how to keep their nose to themselves, and you're getting older and you want to settle down, but you already know in the back of your mind that no matter who you bring home, mama or daddy ain't going to get along with them, and you sitting up there lonely. You're getting sick of that shit, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. What you may have to do, and I hate to say this, but you might have to just leave. You might just have to move away, put some distance between the two of you. If it's at that level, every time you get involved with somebody, they are all up in your business like that, and you really, really want to have a family of your own, you might have to put some distance between you and your parent. Because that's the only way you're going to get it. If it's at that level where they won't leave you alone. And then you probably have already said something about it too. Yeah, you might have to put some distance between the two of y'all. And I know you don't want to, but you might have to. If you want to get that family. Because if they're not willing to listen and they won't even get any help for their issues, because this is an issue. There's nothing normal about this. Somebody gets a certain age like that, they're a mature adult human being and they can't even get a life of their own because you got issues. You need to go see somebody. You won't get any help and you want to keep doing this over and over and over again. You got somebody 30, 40 years old want to get married. That's normal. That's normal. If you don't wind up going to somebody to seek help, guess what? The both of y'all are gonna be aging and gonna have to go see somebody for help, because your child gonna go crazy too. So you need to leave that alone. Overbearing parents need to grow up. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope this serves somebody. I don't know why I got on that. It came to my mind as soon as I woke up this morning. I said to myself, somebody right now is in love and wants to get married and build a family of their own, and they have an overbearing parent. And this is more common occurrence than not. So do what you got to do to resolve that, mom and dad, really. And if you're the child, you go on ahead. I'll throw some virtual rice at you, and you just go ahead and live your life, sweetie. Peace.